Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Epic Drone Show. And if you're watching this at approximately 12:30 p.m. New York City time on the 10th of February 2019, then this is a live show. So anything that you type within the comments, I'll be able to see in real time. Everybody else will be able to see it, and we'll be able to chat that way. I wanted to remind everyone that you can find Epic Drone Show merchandise and obviously all the drones and all the drone accessories. Just go to epicdroneshow.com and you can find it all there. And obviously this show and all of my previously recorded shows you can watch on epicdroneshow.com. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here. I've got, again, it's a relief to have things with my studio, my audio. You should be able to hear me. You should be able to see me. That was a challenge in the past, but I think that challenge is behind us now. So topic today, something that's been buzzing pretty hard within the drone rumor space, is the Phantom 5. A lot of people are feeling that Phantom 5 is probably going to release soon. Some people feel that it may be referred to as Phantom X. I don't know if you remember that teaser from probably several years ago now. The teaser with Phantom X, where it was making some of the things that this new Phantom could do seem kind of outlandish. So it'll be interesting to see if they deliver a Phantom 5, if they deliver a Phantom X, or maybe they've just discontinued the Phantom in favor of the Mavic 2 and in the upcoming Mavic 3. So it's going to be interesting stuff, to say the least. Also, YouTube has rolled out a lot of new features, and one of those features obviously is present for this live show. If you choose to do so, you can select Super Chat and play around with that. I know that's a feature that a lot of YouTubers are using, and I know YouTube has been sending me a lot of emails. Hey, check out Super Chat. Check out Super Chat. So if you haven't checked out Super Chat, now may be a good opportunity to do it. So people are tuning in now. I'm sharing this. Let me share this out here to Twitter and some other social networks while we get going here. This is episode 51 of Epic Drone Show. So share on your social media too, and let's get even more people in here before we get all the excitement really going full throttle here. So let's see. Oh man, we got tons of people coming. Adam says hi. Welcome Adam. Welcome aboard. We got Mike, also known as the Drone Ranger. Welcome aboard. Just a lot of stuff going on. Just trying to re-engage with all of the fellow drone hobbyists out there, because inevitably, if you look at any sort of industry, and in this case the drone industry, you get through the holiday season. January is a weird month because most companies have consumed all of their advertising budget for the year. They consume that typically by the end of December or the first part of January. So it's kind of a weird time that we're in right now, because we're kind of waiting to see, okay, what's next. I know, and obviously with DJI, you've got the Mavic 2 Pro, the Mavic 2 Zoom, awesome drones. You've got the Osmo Pocket, really awesome gimbal camera that I expect to see a lot more accessories come out for during 2019. But the big question is, it's just when's this Phantom 5 coming? Is there a Phantom 5 coming? And that's the big thing for 2019. And then Mike says, I thought I used to have a wrench on your channel. A wrench on your channel. Huh. Where was the... That's it. That's interesting. Let's see. So I've shared this. Oh, in semi-related news, because I know I utilize it pretty heavily for my drones, but Google Plus is being discontinued. Apparently, Google decided that hey, they're not they're not a social network, so they abandoned Google Plus. and hopefully hopefully that foreshadows a lot of new features coming to YouTube. And live streaming like we're doing right here with YouTube, this is a quite complex setup, because I've got real-time chroma keying, real-time green screening. I've got the external audio, and then I had to tweak this camera for the live stream. So it's going to be interesting with Google Plus going away, if Google starts to invest more heavily within their YouTube platform, because inevitably YouTube is one of the most powerful forms of communication out there on the internet. It's video is so much more powerful than your standard platform like a Facebook or an Instagram or Pinterest or Twitter. Video is so much more powerful. So I really hope that Google during 2019 really throws a lot of new features at YouTube. Now, again, if you haven't checked it out, there's, as I mentioned earlier, there's a super chat. And I'm trying to see on my end here. Yeah, I think it's below the, you should see it. It's a little, may look like a dollar sign or something, or say super chat within your comments section. You should be able to see that. That's the new super chat feature that I've got rolled out. Well, not just me, but a lot of YouTubers have super chat. So if you want to check that out, check that out. We've got, it's one of the cool things that came out that I personally, at least on this channel, couldn't pull the trigger on, was the new controller for the Mavic 2. It looks really nice. I love they have a controller with the screen integrated, so I don't have to use my use my smartphone and run its battery down while I'm flying a drone. Obviously my smartphone's also my phone. So what I'd like to see in 2019 from DJI is a very affordable controller with integrated screen. I think that, bundled with the next release of their drone, whether it's a refresh of their Mavic 2 or whether it's a new Phantom 5, I think having a screen integrated with a controller that's affordable. I know that DJI was a little bit too proud of their price. Yeah, like Mike says, I would like the controller, but it's too costly. Yeah. It's, in my opinion, it's insanely overpriced, but I look at it like it's almost like DJI's trying to enter the luxury realm. So, you don't have to have a controller with integrated screen. It would be nice, but it's almost like they're testing the willingness of their fans to want to purchase something that expensive. And I'm sure a lot of people probably bought it. And, you can find it. Go to IrixGuy.com. You can find it there. But I like to keep things real on this channel, and it's insanely overpriced. And I'm not saying it's not good, but I could imagine if it was, on the high end in the $200 range. But where they've priced it is just, it's in the stratosphere, in my opinion. It's not a necessity. It's a luxury, because you can have, I could have, if I wanted to use a screen and not use my smartphone, I could purchase, an older model iPad and use that for a lot lesser price than the DJI's new controller with integrated screen costs. So, just something to chew on there. If you don't want to use your smartphone for your drone, if you want to use a different device, you may come out a lot better if you just choose maybe an older model iPad that's obviously compatible with DJI software. But Mike says at $450 I would snag one. Yeah, and $450's still kind of steep too. It's really a matter of personal preference and how much how much one is willing to throw at this hobby. If it's someone that they don't have a lot of hobbies, it might be easy to say, okay, well, I'll spend top dollar for this enhancement. But for someone that has a lot of hobbies, to spend that much for an item that just improves the user's experience, I just can't. I personally can't justify it. And you know, if you've watched my videos, you know, I mean, I am absolutely obsessed with drones, and you know, even with that being the case, I do set limits to what I'm willing to experiment with. And if it's something that's just that I feel is just too costly, there's really no point. I mean, sure, I'd like to test things and put them in the eyes and you know, in front of my viewers' eyes, but when I do that, that's you know, it's kind of a slippery slope, because if you're just reviewing stuff because you're just reviewing it and it's not actually something you want to review. So in other words, if I'm out in the field reviewing something and I'm flying a drone, that's a drone that I purchased. You know, I'm not and not to point fingers, but there's a lot of people, not just on YouTube, but on other within other social media realms as well, that are providing reviews, whereas in reality they've probably obtained pre-release versions of a product. You know, it may not even reflect the performance of the actual product when it hits the market for anyone to buy. So, you know, I wouldn't want to go that route. You know, if I was approached, which I haven't been, but if I was approached, hey man, do you want to review this new controller with integrated screen, I would respectfully say no, because it's not something that I would be purchasing. It's not something that I would purchase, because I feel that currently it's too expensive. Now, if the price drops and it's still relevant, and the price drops in the $200 range or so, I'll definitely be interested in it, because it would be a major enhancement for the Mavic, for the Mavic 2. SoCal Seth says, "What's up? What's up, man? Welcome back." SoCal Seth is one of the many subscribers of the channel that's a huge supporter and has been here since day, I think pretty much day zero. So that's greatly appreciated. So is Adam. So is Mike. Adam says, "I never thought I would buy anything other than drones from DJI, but now I bought the Osmo Pocket. Wasn't even in the market for one. Controller, don't need one, but I'm thinking about it." Yeah, that's the thing about DJI. You know, and in the beginning, and I'll just be perfectly frank, in the beginning, I didn't, you know, I was kind of a late adopter. I was a late adopter from the perspective that Phantom 2 was already out when I got Phantom 1. And, you know, I'd never heard of this company, DJI. I felt that the prices were astronomical, and I could barely justify getting the previous tech, which at that point in time was the original Phantom, you know, when the Phantom 2 was out, because I didn't know the brand. I didn't know what my expectations were going, you know, what they should be. You know, am I overspending for some generic brand? You know, at that point in time, it was a generic brand in my mind, because I'd never heard of, I mean, I'd heard of DJI, but I was turned on to it, and actually turned on to it by several people, and they're like, "Man, you need to get in on this. You know, this would be good on your channel." So finally, I bit the bullet, and then, you know, with Phantom 1, and here we are today with, you know, currently with Mavic 2 Pro. So I mean, it's obviously I've become obsessed with DJI, and I've grown to love and appreciate the build quality and the you know, and the innovation. I can confidently, you know, to your point, you picked up the Osmo Pocket. You know, now it's more than just a drone brand. You know, it's a camera brand, and, you know, with their integrated controller, with their integrated screen and a controller, you know, now they're kind of a tablet-type brand, because they've got their own tablet-style device that's integrated into a controller. So it's really exciting to see how they've gone down all these multiple paths as a company, and, you know, how they're probably going to displace GoPro very soon. And that begs the question, you know, how much longer will action cameras be relevant? And I don't really think there's an end to action cameras, because, you know, there's different types of filming situations. You know, a lot of times you probably wouldn't want to get your expensive mirrorless camera, detachable lens, and all of that out to film an action type thing. You know, you probably just want to use an action camera that's built for that use case, that if it's lost or damaged, you've probably only lost a few $100. So I think for that reason, there's probably always going to be the demand for an action camera. You know, something that you attach to something. You know, you're filming an activity where a traditional camera could become damaged, lost, or stolen for that matter. I mean, there's been some places I've been in the world where, you know, even with a GoPro on your hood with the suction cup mount, you're not really worried about it falling off, but you're worried about someone grabbing it and running off with it. You know, so I mean, it's a dangerous world out there. You know, you go around the world and you're in different countries and you can run into some really bad people, and that's just because, well, number one, you stand out because you're a tourist, and even though you try to disguise yourself rather, just something as simple as having that action camera on the hood of a rented car is just makes you a target. So Mike says, quality-wise, DJI had never let me down, so I'm in the same boat there. SoCal says, how are you liking the Osmo Pocket? Still got the Osmo Mobile. And what about a submersible DJI drone? Well, you know, the Osmo Pocket, I mean, this thing, I'm absolutely loving it just because, you know, number one, the design of it. I mean, like most all DJI products, and I say most all because I was severely disappointed by the Ronin S. I wanted it to be great. I gave it more than my honest effort, and it would never cooperate with my Sony a7 III. And that was a huge disappointment. But what I was saying, like most DJI products, this thing is exceptionally well designed. You know, I love that they included this case. Again, not waterproof, not ruggedized. There's one side that's, you know, that's exposed. But it's just convenient to pop out this Osmo Pocket, use the integrated screen. You know, even if you don't attach the the optional mount that I've got. And again, you can find the accessory mount, the Osmo Pocket, drones, everything on my website, IrixGuy.com. But it's just a really cool device. Now, what it's missing right now, and I think which A7 do I have? I currently use the A7 III. Now, this live stream, I'm not using A7 III. I'm using just a USB camera, and you can check out my live stream tutorial, and I've got all this equipment listed there on my website. But yeah, this is my favorite action camera, but I do want to throw in the cautionary words that in its current state, without a waterproof housing, this obviously is not water resistant or waterproof. So, you know, if your use case is going to be snorkeling, that sort of stuff, without having the waterproof housing, and hopefully I'll be getting the waterproof housing soon, but without having it, you know, you're limited to dry conditions. But I mean, this thing is awesome because, again, it is mechanically stabilized, so you're not getting software stabilized video like you get with the GoPro. I'll admit the current model GoPro with software stabilization looks good, but in my opinion, software stabilization is never going to look as good as gimbal stabilized. It's just the way, it's the nature of how it's stabilized. I mean, this is mechanically stabilized. In my opinion, it's always going to be a superior quality, and you know that could change, I guess. Jason says, what is the real world battery life on the Osmo Pocket on a single charge? That's something, and weather has just been awful, so I haven't had the opportunity to, from start to finish, run it down to next to zero. But I can tell you that in the field so far, I mean, I've filmed upwards of, 30, 45 minutes, and it's been fine. I haven't depleted it. But the best thing about this, and I mentioned this previously within a few videos, but by not being able to change the batteries, it's actually a good thing, because instead of having multiple small batteries in my backpack along with other gear, my backpack or my dry bag, I've got one battery bank USB rechargeable battery bank, and I just, when it's not in use, when I'm using my Sony Alpha or another camera, or maybe not even using a camera at all, maybe I'm just hiking or, traveling between 2 points, I keep this topped off with a battery bank. And if you're on a multi-day, say the Appalachian Trail or something like that, multi-day adventure, and you've got your Osmo Pocket with you, what's cool about that, USB battery banks can be topped off with solar panels. So even if you're away from the the grid, your power outlets in your home or office, or your power outlet in your car, even if you're off the grid for multiple days, by carrying a battery bank and solar panels, it's easy to keep your Osmo Pocket, smartphone, other USB rechargeable cameras topped off without having the need for on the grid recharging. And actually, my A7 III is USB rechargeable as well. So, I'm able to go off the grid for multiple days and keep my technology charged. And I mean, this has been my favorite favorite action camera so far. And again, at the time of hosting this live show, it doesn't have a waterproof housing. But as soon as that comes out, I think that's when DJI is really going to position themselves to do away with GoPro's dominance. I mean, DJI has already won in the drone space. GoPro unfortunately failed. GoPro Karma was a complete flop. Even had it not been recalled due to potential safety issues, GoPro Karma was a complete flop. Why DJI didn't just scrap it, start over again, why GoPro rather didn't scrap it and start over again, blows my mind. They just decided to throw in the towel. It's almost like GoPro was saying, hey, Wall Street, we know you're pushing us to release this, so we're just going to release it whether it's quality or not. And then it didn't work. It's like Wall Street saying, hey, we need you to abandon that. So GoPro was really, they were put in a bad spot with the GoPro Karma. And I think that alone has become the turning point for GoPro that will signal GoPro's decline going forward. And for a company like DJI, that's a huge opportunity. Now DJI with Osmo Pocket can really just put GoPro to shame. And I love GoPro. I've been using GoPro since GoPro Hero 2. I never got their version 1, but I've been using GoPro since GoPro Hero 2. And I really wish it hadn't happened. But when they went public, the streets just owned them. Let's see. Rosso says, hey, can you make another ham and cheese sandwich? Actually, that's a brilliant idea. And I'm not. You can check out my how to make a ham and cheese video. And, that's always a tasty thing. I'm going to do some homemade chili. And then I'm going to do some ribeyes. That's on the menu for today. But yeah, ham and cheese, man, can't beat that. John says, I need a number from your Spark controller. I'll have to fish that up. I'll be frank, I haven't used that thing in a long time from the Spark controller. SoCal says, what's the biggest SD card the Pocket can have? I haven't really looked at the specs, but I can tell you the one that I use, and it's more than enough space. I'm filming in 4K 60. I'm just using a 64 gig. But I'm not sure if it tops out if it tops out at 128, 256, or 512. But it's yeah, I found this card. And you can find this card on my website. Just go to IrixGuy.com or EpicDroneShow.com and look at my Osmo Pocket post, and you can find the micro SD card that I use for Osmo Pocket there. Yeah, going public can ruin companies, and a lot of companies assume, well, we're going public, we're going to get all this money from investors, so we can really afford to do things that we previously couldn't afford to do. And the unfortunate reality of going public is that often what it'll do, it'll take away creative control. It'll try to expedite things that should be better tested before they're released. So in GoPro's case, GoPro was always releasing great products, and They came out with one, and it was reasonable to expect that the next version of GoPro was going to be better. And that held true until, I would say, about the GoPro, the first Hero Session. That was a real flop. Now, I like the next version of the Session, but the first one was a flop. And, that was after GoPro had IPO'd. IPO is initial public offering, after they had gone public. And then, after that, it was more of a, boom, we have no control. Our quality is suffering. We're really rushing to put things out when we shouldn't be. But they were doing that because they were trying to appeal all the investors on Wall Street. So it's if you ever start a company and you're ever on the fence, should I remain private? Should I become a public entity and sell shares of stock? You may want to take a lot of things into consideration. I mean, that money and not every company that goes public makes a lot of money. I mean, people think that the stock's a dog and they may not buy it. So, even if you're public and people aren't investing, it's not really providing any financial value. So, just something to keep in mind there. But I think, I think it's time. 2019 is time to see something brand new from DJI. And it would be great to see. It'd be great to see a new drone from a new company as well. Have y'all heard? And I hate to say this, but there's speculation floating around, and I hate to hear this about any company, but and correct me if I'm wrong, but have y'all heard the rumors about? There was a company that stepped up, tried to compete with DJI, and their name was Autel, but there's a rumor now that Autel may be bankrupt. That's kind of freaky. But I mean, again, rumor. I don't want to start rumors, but it's just something I've heard floating around the things here. And I haven't heard similar about Parrot, but Parrot, I think they're a company that they try to get drones, and they got pretty close with the Parrot Anafi. This is the first time Parrot really exhibited their willingness to want to compete with DJI, but they still didn't quite get it. It was still more toy-like. Even though it was a great performer and had good camera quality, it was still toy-like. So, I think a company like Parrot, they're in a unique situation because they do have all of these non-drone toys that they sell. So I think they realize that they can dabble with drones, but even if their drones fail, they've got all these toy-type products that'll keep them afloat. So, I think, at least Parrot's got another business within their business, and it's not all drones. I think the companies that are coming out, and GoPro is an example of that. I mean, GoPro's action camera, but they released a drone that failed. But that didn't crush GoPro because GoPro still got their action camera into their side of their business. So, I think the competitor that's going to step up and compete and potentially dethrone DJI is one that's not just going to be drone only. It's going to be a company that we've probably already heard of, like a Google, like an Apple, like a Microsoft, one of those companies that has tons of other concurrent business activities. And, if their drone arm fails, they don't care because they've got all the other things to keep them afloat. I think that's going to be the company that, when they do release a drone, when and if they do release a drone, that's the type of company that could actually compete and could potentially dethrone DJI. But, they've got to have that, they can't expect that their first release of a drone is going to be a smashing hit because it's going to take, one release, and you have to get feedback from the customers and further improve upon that design before they'll really be able to be performing like DJI, a well-oiled drone manufacturer. So, Jason says, do you live on Virgin Islands? I go there every year to go diving and love taking my GoPro and Spark all over the place, dude. Down there quite a bit. Actually, my favorite area, and it's been hit pretty hard by the hurricane, but St. John's hard to beat. USVI, you get over there in in the park, and it's undisturbed, and that's the unfortunate part. Not just the Virgin Islands, but all over the Caribbean. A lot of these islands are just becoming so overpopulated. They're doing away with the really cool places, and they're starting to build high rises. Turks and Caicos is a prime example of that. Go to Grace Bay and Providenciales, and that place, it's just getting built up. And then the other side of Providenciales is getting built up with condo type things. You do away with the island vibe, but St. John, you've got it, and hopefully they keep that, and hopefully they don't destroy it. So it is a national park, that part of St. John. So hopefully it stays that way. Where do you usually GoPro and film at down there? And obviously, keep your drones out of the national park because they are prohibited in the national park on St. John. DJI AI home assistant robot. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be. And then SoCal says underwater drones would be cool, but mine would be shark bait. It's let's see. And then Brad says, why don't you ever post your drone footage or update your intros, outros? Man, I've posted thousands of drone videos, and I need to get some more just some really fresh, really cool footage. And that's the thing. Sometimes a lot of the stuff I film is I want to get some variety, but believe me, here in the next few months, there's going to be some some very cool fresh drone footage. So stay tuned for that. Jason says, I stay at Sapphire Beach when I'm down there. St. Thomas, Sapphire Beach, right over there close to Red Hook. That's a really good spot, man. Yeah, I love Sapphire Beach, and that side of St. Thomas is good. And then if I want to get the secluded part, go over there to Maggins Bay on the northern tip, and that's a different experience. But yeah, Sapphire, man, that's awesome. Yeah, St. Thomas is hard to beat. Obviously the beaches when you get over to St. John are better, but just the convenience of St. Thomas having so many things there is incredible. But it's really hard to beat. It's hard to beat taking the boat over to Yost and hanging out at either Foxy's or Soggy. Those are hard to beat. So we've got. This 2019 is gearing up to hopefully bring us some new drone stuff, and the only people that can dictate that are the drone manufacturers. So DJI right now, they're kind of sitting around. It's like, well, we got the best drone on the market. We got Mavic 2 Pro. We don't really have the need to release anything new because we don't have any competition. So hopefully DJI will surprise us and step up and put something out soon. Whether it's Phantom 5, Phantom X. I think it's premature to see a Mavic 3, but I don't know. Anything could surprise us. How about a pro version of the Osmo Pocket? The Osmo Pocket's awesome. It does 4K 60, but what about a pro version that maybe would have a Hasselblad 1-inch sensor camera on it? How cool would that be? Like the camera that's on the Mavic 2 Pro. Brad says excited for Osmo Pocket charging case and the extension rod. Yeah, those look really cool. And keep in mind with the extension rod, and I've got it in my hiking backpack. But if you put your accessory mount on this, you can attach it to most any standard monopod with a GoPro style attachment. So just something worth mentioning there. Mike says, everybody hit the like button if you haven't already. Hey, that's some great advice, Mike. I appreciate that. And hit the, if you want to hit the super chat, feel free to hit the super chat. I mean, that helps. Anything you can do to support this independent channel, obviously go to epicdroneshow.com or IrixGuy.com to buy all of your drones, drone accessories, cameras. You can support me on Patreon as well. That link's within this video's description. If, again, completely optional. None of this is required. Tamara says, stop by to give my thumbs up. Okay, we got Tamara here. I think she's one of the big Sean Coonery supporters. There's Sean Coonery. Thank you for the hands up. Ha ha ha! He gave you 2 paws up for stopping by. So that's, and then we got Carl here. So, Sean Coonery is always on set. He is always there. He may not, so you can see his ear right there. He's just barely sitting there. Hey, Sean Coonery, you got some more fans coming in. He said he was just waiting for that, because that's his thing. So, and keep in mind, Sean Coonery, he's not a drone. He is an actual cat with a big personality. And every Monday here, you can go, you can check out #MainCoon Mondays. He releases a new video every Monday here on IrixGuy's Adventure Channel. So we got, yep, that's awesome, Tamara. Thanks for dropping by, and Sean Coonery certainly appreciates that. Well, he appreciates it. I appreciate it too, because I'm trying to grow this independent YouTube channel. Speaking of growth, right now the next short-term goal is to get to, by the middle part of 2019, I want to get to at least 80,000 subscribers. I feel that that's a realistic goal. But again, you'll want to share with your friends, family, everybody you know, and help encourage more people to subscribe to the channel. Because once I hit 100,000 subscribers, YouTube should send me a trophy, and it's like a silver play button, so it looks really cool. And that's my. I want to get to 100,000 subscribers. If not in 2019, I want to break through 20,000 or 100,000 subscribers in 2020 at the latest. I mean, so anything you can do to help me out, subscribe, share, like, that's huge. Mark says, did you ever try DJI Tello? Actually, I did. Had a lot of fun with Tello. You can check out, I've got quite a few DJI Tello videos in my Tello playlist here on my channel. Check them out. It was more than just, what was cool about Tello is that it's more than just a toy. And when you play with the Tello, you get that DJI feel on a budget. I mean, it's a great way if you don't know if you're going to like a drone. Maybe you're going to like drones, but you want to be just a strict, just a fun drone. You don't really care about the video quality, the camera quality. You just want something that's fun and affordable. Tello is great. I mean, it's a great. I would recommend Tello to anyone that's curious about drones, but they don't know if they're going to do it for a long time, or maybe they are, but they just want to have fun with it on occasion. Tello is a great drone for that. Very well made. And again, you can find Tello and all the accessories on IrixGuy.com. Just a really fun, good drone. Definitely has DJI's DNA in it. So, yeah, we got ton of people. Mark says also in the U.S. if you buy a drone. Mark says also in the U.S. if you buy a drone more than 250 grams, do you need to pass an exam? You need to check, check your local regulations, and again, I'm not a lawyer or any form of law enforcement or anything like that. Check your local regulations to be safe. But I can tell you, and there's a lot of countries where people are required to register a drone, even if it's for hobbyist use. And there's a lot of countries where if people are using it for commercial purposes, they definitely have to, do more. And I'm an FAA licensed Part 107 pilot, and and I do that because if I'm doing more than just having fun with the drone, I've got a Part 107 license, so I can be privy to commercial work, and that's that's something that if I didn't have, if I had not taken the test, and if I had not passed the test, and if I didn't have a current license, that's stuff that would not be possible. But I'm in this for the hobby, but obviously being involved in the hobby, it's also good to be able to to take advantage of those commercial opportunities on occasion, because money makes the world go around. So if we don't do all that we can do as human beings to make more money, then we're not making more money. So why not? It's fine to just be a hobbyist. That's great. But if someone can do something they love, and then they can also profit from it, why not do it? So yeah, check your country. The test was not easy at all. I will be frank, and I've done it twice. I did the original back when Part 107 first became an option. Originally it was you had to get, what was it? It was they call it was some sort of exemption or whatever you had to apply for. And my mind's going blank with that term, but then they started offering Part 107. You had to take an exam. It's basically like pilot's ground school. It's not. It's not. What's the word for it? It's not easy, because you're having to learn how to interpret sectional aeronautical charts. During the exam, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to fail miserably. Is where I'm getting at, because it's a lot more than the safety questions. It's a lot more than just the cookie cutter type this and that about drones. You've got to know airport operations, you've got to know weather, you've got to know sectional aeronautical charts. You've got to now the recurrent exam. When I took it, there were some sections on the recurrent, at least when I took it, that were not present as part of the initial exam. And I think one of those sections, I think it was weather. I'd have to look back. It was weather and possibly loading. And so, you really got to know what you're doing. And it's check out my website. Check out my Part 107 post on my website. And I've got a link to a really good study guide there. Something I would highly recommend if you're considering taking a Part 107 exam. You may want to check that out, because it may help. But again, that in itself is probably not going to be enough. My best advice would be to really understand some of the toughest things that I found on it. You got to know how to read those sectional aeronautical charts inside and out. If you know that, that's probably going to be a big chunk of it. The airport operations, all the markings on the runways. What does this color mean? There's so many types of questions that are beyond this, what I feel are beyond the scope of someone flying a drone. But you got to know it, because if you don't, you're probably going to fail. And I passed both times. I passed the first time for the initial exam. I passed by the skin of my teeth, because I didn't expect it to be that challenging. The second time I passed with a really nice score when I did the recurrent. So it's not an easy test. But once you understand it and know what to expect, you'll probably have, when you go to the recurrent, you'll probably have a better expectation for what to expect. Therefore, you'll probably be better prepared. SoCal Seth says, you might not be, you do look like you could play a cop on TV. That would be a cool role. If I was on TV and I was making money to play a cop, I would definitely do that. Anything I can do to, being an independent YouTuber is rewarding, but, being an independent YouTuber, I don't have the budget that a lot of these large YouTubers have. But what I do have is creative control and creative freedom, and that's a lot of value in itself. Not being part of a multi-channel network. So it's again, I run on y'all's support. Your likes, your subscriptions. Super chatting during clicking the super chat when you're in a live show such as this, and supporting me on Patreon. Again, all of this is optional if you choose to do so, but it helps. It helps the helps the channel. And obviously, when you're looking for drones, cameras, any sort of thing, just go to my website, check the links there. That helps. And this sounds like an e-begging type thing, but it's not e-begging. It's just I'm sharing this for informational purposes, because a lot of people may not realize that, you know, those are ways that people can choose to support their favorite YouTubers, and especially YouTubers like myself that are independent. You know, that's what keeps the needle moving. I mean, this live stream, for example, and often people don't realize or think about all the hidden costs that come into play. But this live stream, you know, I've got the subscription to my live streaming software. It's not just a buy once and done. It's an annual renewal that I've got to pay to keep the software that I'm using to live chroma key this. So I mean, there's an expense there, and it you know, if it's something that I neglected to renew, the old version I have may work for a few months or a year or so, but more than likely they're going to make it you know, they're going to make it not compatible. You know, as Mac OS continues to upgrade, they'll probably intentionally break it to where you've got to have the subscription to continue to use it. So yeah, there's a lot of hidden costs with running YouTube, and obviously, you know, there's a travel cost to go to and from these filming locations. There's all the camera equipment, the drones, the food. I mean, it's an adventure. But again, it's an adventure that I feel is worth the expense, because it provides me with the opportunity to do all of this, and not just do it for no reason. I'm able to do it and package it into deliverable content for the YouTube channel, IrixGuy's Adventure channel. So with that being said, I think we're you know, we've got a lot of exciting stuff coming, and admittedly, it is kind of a weird time of the year. You know, January, February, typically kind of weird, but I'm hoping for a few things during the first part of this year. Number one is a new drone from DJI, and it'd be interesting to see what that is, and I have a feeling it's probably going to be something along the lines of the Phantom, if not something brand new that we haven't seen. I'd really like to see a 360-degree spherical VR camera, whatever you want to call it, that's compatible with an upcoming DJI drone. You know, why they've neglected to do that, I don't know. I mean, Apple is pushing, or they were, and I don't know if they still are, but Apple at one point was pushing VR video editing very heavily when they released their iMac Pro desktops. So, you know, if we had that on a drone, a 360 camera, you know, we could really embrace that new technology and create content that a lot of people haven't seen from a drone, because it's just not out there. I mean, people have rigged their own 360 cameras to a drone, but it's not really a best-in-class experience, in my opinion. And then, you know, we've got Osmo Pocket. I mean, what all is going to be coming out of this? I mean, this thing is great, and it's going to be exciting to see how they even take it further, take it to the next level. I mean, that is awesome. SoCal says, I hear you, buddy. My channel won't launch until next year, but you're right, lots of expenses. Yeah, I mean, it's most anything, and I mean, people choose. That's the beauty of it. You know, people choose their hobbies, and some people choose hobbies based upon expense. But you know, the cool part about YouTube as a hobby is that, you know, you get the adventure component, but you can also realize a financial reward. And there's a lot of hobbies that don't necessarily provide a financial reward. And I mean, they're still good hobbies. I mean, not everything that someone does for recreation has to be generating revenue. I mean, you know, you can go out and do stuff that you know, you throw money at it and you don't get anything in return, and that's fine, because it's a relaxing experience. But that's the cool thing about YouTube, is that, you know, you can generate revenue from it, but again, there's expenses. So it's got to be something where the revenue is greater than the expense, if that makes sense. Yeah, SoCal says the issue with 360 editing is stitching, and I agree completely. But I think with Final Cut Pro 10, with the new tweaks that Apple's added to that, I think they've made the 360-degree editing a lot more user-friendly experience. We just need to see the affordable 360 camera technology pick up speed and be on par with with the quality of editing tools that are out there. And that's the biggest thing now. You see these cameras, but the ones that are really high quality are super expensive, cost prohibitive. And the ones that are affordable, they're kind of more of a proof of concept at this point. You don't get the true 4K video quality in 360. It's kind of a gimped experience. But it does signal where we could be heading if people don't abandon creating 360 camera technology altogether. So we'll see what happens. Oh yeah, Oculus, not the Oculus Go, but the next version of that with enhanced functionality, that should be coming out soon. That's going to be interesting to play with, especially if if that technology can be meshed with drones somehow, whether it's just watching drone flights or whatever. That ought to be really exciting. But with all this being said, I appreciate everyone tuning in here. We've had a almost an hour-long show, no hiccups. Again, the audio and video issues in the studio have finally been fixed. I know that was that took forever, and it was a painful experience there for several shows, and it kept me out of doing these live streams for a while. But Mark says, do you think DJI will release a new drone? I think they will, if not the first quarter of 2019. I'm fairly bullish that by the end of 2019 that we'll see a new drone. My battery is getting low on my MacBook Pro, so I'm going to have to conclude this live stream. That's something I've got to add as a future enhancement. So again, feel free to support my channel on Patreon. I'm going to have to add another power cable for my laptop when I'm away from my studio desk, because right here I'm just running off of batteries. This entire live show I was running off of batteries. So thanks for your viewership. Be sure to subscribe. Ring that bell icon to be notified whenever I post another video. And stay tuned, because I'll be hosting another live show here on IrixGuy's Adventure channel soon. Y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. It's viewers like you that enable my channel to continue to grow. Thank you.